It's been about a year since the pandemic hit, just a little bit over. And I think we can all agree that, 2020 was a complete, shit show. And I just wanted to make a video kind of explaining some of the stuff that I've learned and hopefully won't mess up again from the past year's experience, and I learned a lot. And with that being said, this isn't like the typical, prepping video. It's not about stocking up on food, water, ammo, that kind of stuff. If you were light in some supplies, then I'm sure that became, very apparent, and you just need to kind of adjust accordingly. So I just want to cover some of the other stuff, that I learned, and I think one of the first things that I learned is the tunnel vision. We do a lot of tactics videos and stuff like that. And one thing that I will harp on over and over and over and over and over again when it comes to tactics and whatever, that whole genre of training, is tunnel vision. Don't get sucked into, one immediate thing. You got to be aware of everything that's going on around. And if you have tunnel vision, then you're going to miss things. And I definitely had some tunnel vision going on, and I should have, taken my own advice and utilized more situational awareness in a different setting than a tactical setting. Some of the things I missed was, I was hyper focused on getting, N95 masks and medicines and, anything at the beginning of this whole, shitstorm to protect myself from the virus if I needed to treat myself at home or my wife. But to be honest, we were pretty good on supplies, but we were just getting more and more and more. And instead of looking at the big picture, every crisis creates a lot of opportunities. And we missed, some of those opportunities. Land value went through the roof. We made a video on, things to get, and, when the COVID thing was kicking off, and one of the things was land. You get land you used to be able to get it for $1,000, $2,000 an acre. Some places around here, land has gone up to $80,000, $90,000 an acre in 1 year because of everybody moving. There's like a whole migration happening, people moving from certain states to new states, and it's driving land value through the roof. That was a missed opportunity. We could have invested, maybe in a little bit more land or property. The cryptocurrencies. Had I been paying attention to that kind of stuff, in 1 year, Bitcoin went from what, $3,000 a coin to 60-something thousand dollars a coin. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what happens when the power goes out? I don't know what happens when the power goes out, man, but I'll tell you what, the power didn't go out, and had I invested $3,000 in Bitcoin, I'd be $57,000 richer today. So we still have power. So I missed an opportunity, by thinking like that. And stocks too. I mean, a lot of companies actually, big companies really took off during the pandemic because so much shit was shut down and people didn't want to leave the house, and then they started wanting to leave the house, but they can't leave the house in certain areas. And look what happened, whether you like these companies or not. I'm not trying to get political here, but, Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Tesla, like all these tech stocks went through the roof. And had you been paying attention and invested in these things early on in the pandemic, you could have made a killing. You could have really added some cash and some wealth to your net worth. And most of the people in my arena, in my space, were more interested in hoarding, ammo, water, food, and that's not a bad thing. I did too, shit, we started a whole farm, and I don't regret any of that. I just wish that I would have, you know, opened up a little bit and paid a little bit more attention to some of the other stuff that was going on, because I could be sitting, you know, better off than I am right now. So, tunnel vision. Local community, you know, that's another thing that I learned is a lot more important than kind of the national community. And what I mean by that is everything from neighbors to local government to making friends, and you know, in your local area. I mean, you know, I run a media company, essentially, is, you know, what we do here, and we're always after, you know, national exposure. We want the most views. We want to reach the most people. You know, we're trying to make connections in all these different states with you know, like-minded individuals, right? Well, I had never, in me being, I'm about as introverted as you can get, you know, so I'm not the guy that's out there meeting all, you know, trying to make friends and hanging out at the bar and checking on the neighbors and all that kind of stuff. I'm an introvert, you know, by nature, and that's hard for me to do. However, have I maybe put a little more work into my local community, and I did start to do that, and we are starting to do that. That's what's going to affect you. You know, I know there's a lot of political stuff going on that I don't really feel like covering because I'm tired of that shit. But you know, God's honest truth. I mean, the local government, the state government, your county, your city, those governments are going to affect you a lot more than any national government. That's your local community, and you need to be more in tune with that and more involved with what's happening locally, that's not getting all the press, you know, because that's what's going to affect you first, is your local community. Same with the neighbors and friends, and having a network in your local community. Great, you know, you run a company and you got buddies in Utah and Montana and Florida and California or wherever, you know, they're not here to help you. You know, yeah, if you can get a phone call, maybe, you know, shoot the shit with your buddies and stuff, that's great, but they're not here to help you when you need help. They're, you know, 500 miles away, 1,000 miles away. And so ingraining, and same with local businesses, you know, getting to know local businesses and supporting them, you know, that helps where you live, you know, that builds up the community and makes the community stronger. And in return, they will help you, hopefully, you know, if you build a solid network. I mean, yeah, there's shitbags all over the world, right? But, you know, find the good ones in your local community and start to connect with those businesses. You know, we made friends with Bear Creek Farms, you know, here in Franklin, Tennessee. And you know what? Guess what? I'm never going to run out of steaks ever, you know, because they're my friends. It's a I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of relationship, and that goes a long way. You know, get involved. If you're whatever, a soft guy like me, maybe you should start getting involved in the sheriff's department and the police department and kind of seeing how you can help them out. Maybe, you know, get involved with the fire departments, and those are the people that are there to protect you and help you. So help them out, you know, and get involved in those local communities and build your own network. And it's not going to do you wrong. That's for damn sure. Diversifying where you get your information from is huge. I've seen this in other countries. I never thought it was that bad here, but the propaganda machine runs extremely strong. And kind of, so what I'm getting at is your news. You know, if you're not interested in a particular political narrative, then unfortunately there just is no news network that you're going to be able to watch and kind of get, you know, the full spectrum of what's going on. So you need to diversify where you're where you decide to get information from. So now, if you want to be fed a certain particular narrative, then by all means, keep watching, that one news channel. But I don't have cable. I can't stand TV. I don't watch TV. We have a air antenna, on the house. Is what we use, and we only get one news station, which happened. I'm not even going to mention which news station it is. It doesn't matter. But I was only being served a certain narrative, and they don't report all the facts. They only report the facts that pertain to their that fits their narrative on what they're driving. I'm not saying it's all bullshit, but what I am saying is you're missing out on everything that they're not reporting. I found that out kind of the hard way when I did a Zoom call with a couple other guys, Rob O'Neill, Mike Ritland, Dave Rutherford, and it was kind of like a pandemic update. And I realized like immediately when that Zoom call started that I'm not getting I'm not picking up the full spectrum of what's happening. I was only being fed one particular narrative. And so guess what? Then we had to get cable, and we started watching, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit of the local news, and that goes for social media as well. I mean, everybody knows it's no secret now. So much has come out in the past year about the privacy concerns and how these platforms are all reading everything you do. Even they're even tracking what your eyeballs are looking at, and they're building a profile on you, and then they're serving you what they think that you want to see. And so especially when it comes to politics, if you lean one way or another way and you're only following whatever, right or left side politics, then guess what? That's all you're going to see. And if you think I'm wrong, switch phones with one of your friends and look at what they're seeing, and what ads are being served, what content is popping up. It's all part of the algorithm. So I guess if you want the full scope of what's going on, or at least as much as you can possibly get on an open source network, then you have to diversify where your information's coming from. It can't just be one news network. There is not one news network that's going to report all the facts or everything that's going on. Certain things will be left out. So diversify where you get your information from. Being in the moment, that's a personal one that really kind of drove it. It was really driven home. Actually, like right at the very beginning, almost exactly a year ago, beginning of April. Early April is when I really started hearing the most about it. That's when it really kicked off. And everything shut down. There was no, business. Nobody really knew what the hell was happening, and then it kind of progressed or whatever. But at the very beginning, everybody was worried about this, and it wasn't opposite, whatever. None of that shit was happening at the very beginning, at least not that I remember. And when everything started shutting down, especially my business, and it kind of started slowing down, and people were, scared to hang out with each other and all that kind of stuff. What happened was, I slowed down. It was almost impossible to do business at the beginning of this, and I was getting sucked into the media, and it was ruining my day, and so I quit. I quit watching a lot of it unless I really needed an update, and with business slowed down, I began to realize with all that, time started slowing down, and I realized I wasn't living in the moment, before all of this, and my whole life was passing me by, and I guess what I'm saying is I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't present, in conversations with friends, with my wife, with, you know, family members, parents, siblings. I mean, every once in a while I would be in the moment, but when everything slowed down, I realized how much time I had wasted doing shit like Instagram, and you're always in the hustle, and you know, you don't want to get left out, and you're trying to keep up with everybody. And I thought I was good with that. I don't really try to keep up with that many people, but when everything slowed down, I realized, like, shit, man, you know, you ever had a week go by and you're like, shit, I feel like it's only been like, I feel like it's only Tuesday, you know, or a month goes by and you're like, shit, man, I know you guys feel that, where it's like, man, I feel like it was just April 1st, you know, yesterday, and it's like May's tomorrow, or, you know, stuff like that. And so when everything slowed down, it made me realize, you know, things are going too fast, and God's honest truth, none of that shit's important. What's important is your family and your friends, and being in the moment and living those memories, and making memories, and just being there, you know, being there for your kids, being there for your wife, being there for your family, and really being present and taking it all in. You know, I don't know anybody who sat on their deathbed and regretted spending too much time, you know, with their family, and not enough time on social media or their business. I've never heard that. Never heard anybody say, I wish I had spent more time building a following on social, or I wish I would have just grown my business a little bit more. Never heard it. I have heard, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have spent more time with my wife, you know, and that just became very apparent to me, you know, at the beginning of the whole, you know, 2020 shit show. So Katie and I both, we did some things to adjust, you know, not getting sucked into the social media news hate, and not getting sucked into the business as much as we used to. And you know, the biggest thing, honestly, that I think we kind of did is we started a farm. You know, we got animals, we got chickens, we got alpacas, we got goats, we got 2 dogs, which we've always had 2 dogs. But you know, and that kind of forces you. Guess what? There's more lives that depend on you now, and it forces you to jump out, you know, of the rat race, and spend real time with real things, not on a machine. And then when you do have to spend time on the machine, you know, another thing I did, I bought a new device, you know, because I do like checking the news. I don't like being served what Google or any of the FANG companies think I want to see. You know, I just want news, you know. And so I bought a new device, and I didn't connect any social media to it, no YouTube, no email, no work stuff, no back end to the business stuff. And I use DuckDuckGo, DuckDuckGo, and you know, and burn it when I'm done, you know. Or there's that new site Brave, which is actually supposedly like a huge competitor to the Google search engine now, because so many people are in tune with how messed up and how intrusive those companies have become into our lives, you know. And I just want unbiased things, you know, to read about. And so that's part of my morning routine, is jumping on my scrubbed device and looking up what I want to look up. What are like the real headlines, you know, what are that's not catered to my, you know, political beliefs or religious beliefs, or, you know, I'm not seeing ads on the new shoes that Google thinks that I need to buy. None of that shit happens anymore. I just bought a scrub device well, anyways, all that kind of stuff improves my mood and all together, it helps me be more in the moment. And I learned too, that business isn't everything, man. It's not. It's not everything. In fact, it's a very small, part of living. You got to make a living, but I would rather be in the moment with the people I care about than build an empire that nobody's going to give a shit about in 50 years from now. So yeah, actually you're asking if we set some screen time. We didn't really set screen time, but what we did eventually do is we came off social media completely. In fact, my wife is still off of it. I went back on because I do, run a business, and that's a big part of our business, being a media company. And, my marketing guy, who's sitting directly across from me, kind of forced my hand to getting back on those platforms. And you know what, it's going to be worth it. But now, because I came off of it for a good 4 or 5 months, maybe longer, I'm definitely more aware of what those applications can do to you. Another thing I learned is I wish I knew more skills. When we started this channel, it was all tactics and stuff like that, and I am spun up. I know what I need to know when it comes to that, and I thought it was great, and I do. I'm happy that I know all of everything that I know when it comes to tactics and shooting and all that, being an operator and all that stuff. But I'll tell you one thing: when the pandemic hit, and with all the political stuff going on, it stopped a lot of stuff. Supplies weren't, the supply chain was rising. It was hard to get people to come out and work on things, whether it's your vehicle, whether it's your house or whatever. And I wish I had more skills, and instead of spending all of my time, working on tactical stuff, there's other stuff that I don't know. I don't know, how to wire my house for solar. I am not a auto mechanic. That's probably one of my weakest areas, and that shit's horrible. How am I going to get around? If I can't get somebody to come work on my car, or I can't get certain parts, if I knew more about that, then I would be more self-sufficient. I would be able to wire my own house for a generator. I would be able to, fix my car. Maybe I'd be able to, build. I mean, I'm pretty handy, I can build, a lot of stuff, but, that kind of stuff. And everybody has their weaknesses, whether it's, technology, a lot of people have that as a weakness. I'm becoming outdated. I need to spend myself up on some of that shit again, electric, auto mechanics, cooking. There's people out there that probably never cooked themselves a meal. Well, guess what? When the world shut down and you couldn't go anywhere, you better learn how to cook some shit. Maybe, you live way the hell out in the middle of nowhere like me, and gardening. There's some people that couldn't figure out how to garden if their life depended on it, and it's just all, I wish I had more skills. I wish I had diversified a little bit more and learned some more kind of trade skills, because, lastly, when it comes to being self-sufficient, there is there's no feeling like that in the world, and I'm not 100% there yet, but, we've paid a lot of debt off. We're pretty much debt-free, and that is a big step to becoming self-sufficient, and that feels amazing. When we got rid of debt, it was it was a really, really freeing feeling to know that you don't owe anybody any money. And, and, food, when we stocked up, and we're good at that stuff, and knowing that, hey, you know what, if this ever happens again, and who the hell knows if it will or not, but guess what? I'm fine. I'm not going to be that person running around at the grocery store hoarding a bunch of shit that's just going to go bad, eventually, and we're, all that kind of stuff. So skills, I wish I would, I need to just always be willing to learn, don't just learn what the hell you're doing. Some people don't even know how to change their own oil. Some people don't even know how to change a tire, and anyways, I think a lot of the mistakes that were made by everyone they should be self-correcting errors. I think everybody probably watching this, something happened. You were low on something, or you missed out on something, or you made a mistake, and don't do that again. Learn from that and implement something to correct that before it happens again. Don't just procrastinate. If you procrastinate it's something's gonna happen again. I don't know what it will, but this isn't the first time this shit's happened. This is the biggest one in my lifetime. But there's Ebola outbreaks. There's the swine flu. Like, this shit happens every once in a while. And another example, hurricanes. It was very similar. The beginning of this was very similar to what it's like when a hurricane is heading towards Florida. The shelves clear out. The gas is gone, the generators are gone, the food is gone, the water is gone, the plywood is gone, everything's gone. And so if you weren't ready, you kind of just shit out of luck. And so the whole world got to feel that this time. And just kind of to wrap this thing up, just whatever mistakes you've made or whatever you felt weak at, during the past year, find a way to improve that and don't let that happen again. But anyways, these are just, a list of 5 things that I learned, looking back at the last year, majority of it being 2020. And it was an interesting year. So I learned a lot from it. So I hope you guys did too. And best of luck to you.